Greetings, growers around the world. Jordan River here, back with more GrowCast, sun-grown in the Hawaiian air. Today we have Rhizo Rich back on the line. Rhizo Rich is the head breeder at GrowCast Seed Co., and you guys know him, you love him. Today's episode is really good. We cover a variety of topics from his upcoming pollinations to home breeding practices. We talk about saving money, the best ways to save money in your gardens, the best ways to avoid the biggest money pits. It's a really good episode. I know you're going to love it. Before we jump into it, though, shout out to AC Infinity. That's right, acinfinity.com. Code GrowCast15 to get the biggest savings that you can out there. And they just dropped an amazing new product. It's an AC Infinity heater. This thing is designed for your grow. It's got a directional hose. It looks sleek. It's really, really cool. You can see it now at acinfinity.com, code GrowCast15, and that'll save you the biggest discount that they offer every time on not just the new heater, but also all of their grow tents, their grow kits, their grow lights, fans, inline fans, oscillating fans. They have pots, scissors, glasses to wear in your grow to protect yourself from the grow lights. They have everything at acinfinity.com. And you can use code GrowCast15. It helps us out, makes your grow look nice, and check it out, everybody. acinfinity.com, code GrowCast15. Upgrade your grow, grab a heater, grab a new kit. It's a great way to expand, and we love AC Infinity here at GrowCast. So, acinfinity.com, code GrowCast15 always, and thank you to AC Infinity. All right, everyone, let's get into it with Rhizo Rich. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to GrowCast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, as always, I urge you to share this show. Turn a grower onto GrowCast, or turn a smoker onto growing. It's the best way that you can help us out on our mission of overgrow. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to this, and go to growcastpodcast.com for all the things there. You will find the classes and the seeds and the membership and everything else we have going on. Special huge thank you to members of GrowCast membership. Today, we've got our head breeder at GrowCast Seed Co., my good friend and longtime talented cultivator, Rhizo Rich, is back on the show. What's up, Rich? How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Excellent. I am doing excellent as well out here in the islands. Although, Rich, I miss the Midwest. I miss you Midwest Gromies. You know, I miss hanging out with Jay, hanging out with you, with the whole Midwest chapter.
Oh, we miss you too.
Yeah, I'm having fun, but I'm excited to get back, Rich. Really, I am.
Well, we miss you, but I do envy you being on that island. So.
Yeah, you're coming out here next year. We're going to get you out here, man. I'm telling you.
I would love to.
Today, we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff, really. I want to update Rich on the Hawaiian pheno hunt that we're doing out here, just like a little small, trying to find something that works on the island. Rich is going to update us on his awesome GrowCast Seed Co. pheno hunt. We're going to talk about local inputs, using what's around you, saving money, all the stuff that kind of goes into island growing and Rich's work and more. So let's start right there in the beginning, Rich. I am doing this little pheno hunt. You know, I started with around 30 seeds I was going to pop, and we're popping them here on the island. It's during the wet season, and I had no idea how rough it is growing in this environment. Man, it's funny, growing in Humboldt County, it's like, it was so temperate all year round. It was so easy. I see why people thrive outside there. Here, if the rats don't get in and eat your seedlings, then the biting insects will fell them from the soil surface. The moths lay their eggs on them. The humidity is so high you get mildews. And then as soon as things seem to calm down, whipping winds tear through. So let me circle it around to your GrowCast Seed Co. gear, though, man, because what ends up happening is, like, at this point, what I realized, Rich, is so much of growing in a harsh environment is just simply vigor. Because it's not about like having a pest-resistant strain or a mold-resistant strain out here. It's about having a strain that grows so fast and so easily and vigorously that it outpaces the 100 different things that are trying to kill it. You understand what I'm saying? I've never put so much emphasis on vigor for when it comes to survivability. And your genetics are like, everyone else is dying, man. Right now, our front runners are Oreo cheesecake, cookie truffle shuffle, and a peach buzz that came back from death's door. The peach buzz came back from death's door, bro. It was felled over by biting insects, and it repaired and calloused, and it's going again. Dude, it's nuts, Rich. So long story short, it's hell growing out here. We're already down to like 10, 12 plants. Over half of our soldiers are dead. And
Jeez.
your genetics are leading the pack, man. The Cookie Truffle Shuffle is such a great strain. The Oreo cheesecake, which we're going to talk about, they're leading the pack, and it's all about that vigor, man. Really, really
That
good
makes
stuff.
sense. The vigor thing, man, when you say that they just have to grow as quickly as possible and as strongly as possible out there with so many pressures on them, you know. I wouldn't have thought to word it like that, but it makes total sense.
It just made me think because people are always talking about like, oh, I really need a mold resistant strain to survive this environment, or a pest resistant strain because of all the pest pressure. And I feel like a
You
lot
just
of
need
it
a
just
fast
comes,
one.
yeah, totally. A lot of it just comes down to outgrowing all that shit. It's true.
Yeah, that just makes a lot of sense, dude. And I've never really heard anybody put it in words like that, but I mean, it's so obvious, you know?
Well, one of the reasons I like so much of your truffle cake work is because the structure of the truffle cake, it passes on very, very dominantly. First of all, I see it in
It does.
both of the cookie truffle shuffles that I have currently and the Oreo cheesecake that I have. Or I guess that's a different lineage, but it's got a similar structure, the Oreo cheesecake, which,
They both got that white truffle, you
oh,
know?
okay, that makes sense. Because it's like, I describe it as towering. It's not lanky by any means, but it's tall and strong and sturdy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that white truffle cheese will stack all the way up, so that makes a lot of sense. It is a very tall one, but like you said, it's not lanky. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-mm.
the entire stalk is just flowered out, so they do really good in the grow. Just throw the fuck down.
And the wind is coming heavy, and they're really holding up to it, Rich. It's got sturdiness to its towering structure.
Yeah, that's important too. And once again, that white truffle cheese has really thick stems, and I'm growing some of the Oreo cheesecake right now myself, and all of them are nice and thick and strong, like you're saying yours are. So it's definitely a dominant trait. It seems like.
Absolutely. Isn't it fun that you, me, and producer Jay are all growing Oreo cheesecake right now? That's really cool.
No shit. Is he?
Yep. His looks beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's the only plant he has in the 3x3 tent, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It's really cool, man. So I want to keep everybody up to date. My goal in this pheno hunt is to just get one strain that does well on the islands that maybe some of the local guys will pass around. That would be absolutely
Yeah, that would
ideal.
be awesome.
If I find like a unicorn and I get a cut back to the community, obviously I'd be thrilled, but I'm not even aiming that far. I'm just trying to survive out here, man. And your genetics are shining through. There's still a few other ones that made it through, but it's like I think there's only two. I think it's basically all your stuff at this point. So well
Wow.
done, sir. And let's lead this into your pheno hunt. You just popped a whole bunch of beans, right? I don't think we've talked about this on the main show yet, or maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I think maybe just the member stuff. Yeah, I popped. I'm going through a pretty. I don't want to say a large hunt, but it's a good one. It's about 40 to 50 plants, so
Nice.
it's a decent one. I got 4 of the banana Oreo Blizzard. I got 3 Oreo cheesecake. I got 5 cookie truffle shuffle, 2 double stuffed Oreos, 3 Oreos S1, 2 of the key lime madness. I
Mm,
got I think 3 purple Kazars, a key
yes.
lime pie across the apes in space. Then I got some other work from other breeders like the deep fried Oreos from in-house,
Ooh.
Oreo King from him, and Flechada, which is like a horchata, platinum cross the horchata type cross or something like
Ooh, that
that.
sounds
I haven't
good.
even looked to check, but Farmer John sent me those, so I wanted to pop those as well this hunt, just because I like to look through not just my stuff, but other people's stuff. But yeah, I'd say a good majority of it is mostly Seacoast stuff.
Yes, that's what I like to hear, man. We were talking about this, and listen, if you want to go back, listeners, and check out all of Rhizo Rich's episodes, you can learn more about his breeding philosophy and how you select. But one thing I know about you, Rich, is you refuse to put your own plans ahead of what these plants do for you. Meaning, obviously, there's a few on that list that I would love for you to use, but I know you, and you're never going to use something just because it's the strain you want. It's got to stand out to you to be the one
Oh,
that you use in
definitely.
breeding. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have ideas for certain things, you know, and I want to do certain things, but you're right. If something else speaks to me before that, I'm definitely gonna stop what I'm doing and do that.
Like, I would like to see one of those banana Oreo blizzards be the standout so that you can reverse it and do a whole pollination. I feel the same way about the key lime madness or what have you. But you're going to pick the best one. I know you. You're going to pick the best one. You have no preconceived biases or notions when it comes to seeds.
No, I try not to. I try not to hold nothing against. You never know what you're gonna get, man. One seed could change everything.
It's true. That's well
Just
said.
one seed, you know?
That is very well said, man. And I'm glad that we got you set up and you're growing, indoors. You got the beautiful living soil. I want to talk about that a little bit today. But you come from an island. You know how it is growing on an island. It's different,
Dude,
man. It's fucking, first of all, it's hard. It's hard growing on an island.
when you said the wind whipping, that was like, that hit me because that was a huge thing on the island I was at, on the East Coast. It was just, it was different, you know? Like low winds in the wintertime would be like 40 miles an hour consistently, you know? It was
Jeez.
always whipping winds.
Ripping your plants up, man. Absolutely. You got to either get a windbreak or get a little greenhouse. Yeah, because right now we're just chancing it out there with no windbreak. And isn't getting stuff like one of the hardest things? Living in the
Oh, dude,
Midwest
that's
is
the
so
worst.
nice. Yeah, because you're like, you get anything shipped from anywhere 2 days away from the Midwest.
50 stores around you, anything shipped to you next day. And then, yeah, you're on an island. You might get Amazon, but like you're not going to get it like other people. It's going to take longer. You're going to be limited. It's just not as fun. And then if you want to get something in person, at least where I was at, you got to drive 3 hours just to get off the island. And for you, you're really screwed. I mean, you're stuck in where you are. You're not going anywhere else. You're in Hawaii.
You got to take a plane off the island here, man. It's nuts. So you're right. Amazon takes 3 weeks to deliver here. And what ends
Oh
up happening,
shit.
Rich, I'm sure you saw this back home with the growers, is you basically try to DIY or use what's around you as a default.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of growing on the mainland, which is like you get growing, you get all the good stuff, and then you look around and see, what can I close the loop here? Like, what can I start doing myself? It's the opposite here. It's like, I need to I need to do all of this myself, except for the
Whatever
few
you can
things.
get away with.
Yes,
Yeah.
except for the few things I can import. So I'd like to talk about like using what's around you and also tie that into a subject I want to dive into this episode, which is money. Right? The other thing about Hawaii is everything's expensive, man, and growing can be
I bet.
expensive. No one's got extra money right now, really. So when you start using what's around you, not only do you close that loop, but you also can save a lot of money. I know that's a big subject in your cultivation strategy, Rich. What to you are some of the biggest ways to save money when it comes to like your local environment, your local community, no matter where you are?
Man, reusing your media, your soil. You know what I mean?
Oof.
Definitely reusing that or re-amending it so you're not constantly buying bags of soil or having to go get bags of soil. That's always a good one to try to cut back money wise on if you're able to. I'm sure you can do it with cocoa too. I know people reuse cocoa.
Dude, I used to throw out old soil. That's got to be the biggest
Dude,
money
so did I
waster.
back in the day,
Yeah.
before I really knew.
They told you to. All the growers I knew told me to throw out my old medium and
Yeah, you
start
got
with
to use
fresh.
fresh stuff.
Oh my God, bro. That's got to be the biggest money waster. When I look back at like my Humboldt days, like that was so stupid throwing out that soil. Now, you do have to like rinse it if you're using salts, right? You got to wash it, you got to flush it. If you're using soil, like you said, you got to re-amend it, but reuse that medium. Don't let it wind up in the dump. That's like losing the game, right? That's like game over when your waste or your products from your grow end up in the dump. That's like minus points right there.
Yeah, and that's what they talk about. Like when you hear people's, I don't know, I was looking at some kind of article not long ago and somebody was talking about growers and like how much waste does it cost for that bag of weed or whatever. And it was a little bit higher than you would imagine, or at least what they claim it is between all the nutrients and this, that, and the other. Now, I'm sure as growers, we all know that's going to be kind of dependent on what the grower's doing, if they're regenerative and whatnot. But I
So
agree,
true.
throwing soil away is just adding to those numbers unnecessarily.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, listen, maybe let's back it up for a second. And when it comes to money, just say, Rich, there's nothing like growing in the ground under the sun when it comes to cutting costs, right? Like if that's possible, if your soil is good enough to kind of rework, get the plants in ground under the sun, that is the cheapest way to grow. It's not for everyone,
Definitely.
but let's just be honest.
Cheapest, yeah.
Cheapest
And
way to
most
grow.
effective,
Totally. When we talk about these, like, how much does this cost? Well, that's like an indoor cultivation. You won't even let these large cultivators produce outside. So don't come banging down my door over my 4x4 tent when you're not.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree with that. If you're looking to save money, there's nothing that compares to outdoor regenerative ag in ground under the sun. Now, that being said, that's not how I grow, right? I want to grow indoors. I love growing indoors. I'll always grow indoors. I love growing outdoors too, to be honest. But it's the cheapest. I ain't gonna lie. It is the cheapest.
It is. It definitely is.
So what else? I'm trying to think. What else do you get locally? Rich, you're really good at this stuff, man. Like I know you try to plug yourself into local grow stores,
Oh yeah,
things like local
definitely.
compost and nurseries.
Nurseries.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
At least around here, like surprisingly, a lot of the nurseries tend to have whole areas now that are like dedicated to grow stuff. And it sounds obvious, like nursery grow, yeah, but I mean like cannabis grow stuff,
Totally.
tents and lights and different nutrients and stuff that they just didn't have before the state went legal. So you can sometimes go to nurseries and find really good deals, especially on different soils, good prices on those if you're starting out, you know. So just looking around is kind of key. Not every hydro store is there to, you know, give you the green tax and rip you off. Like, you know, our friend's store, Next Level, like their prices, sometimes I wonder how they even make money, you know, because the price is like almost what they're paying. If it, sometimes it even is, you know, so not all of those stores are looking to rip you off. So definitely look around if you have the ability to check multiple stores.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's good to get in with those stores, make friends with those people.
Dude, yes. Go get you free samples, all that shit, man.
Exactly. You want to support those local businesses and help keep them open, right? And they want you coming to them. So, you
They
know,
do.
a good hydro store will be putting on a customer appreciation day at least, or like regular events and classes. Like you said, our Next Level indoor garden supply friends in Rockford. That's like where that pays off, right? And you don't have to be like rude or weird about it. You make good friends with them and then just say, hey, you know, I'm trying to do this grow for as cheap as possible. You guys got any free samples of anything laying around, you know, that you could let go of? Like, no problem if not. It doesn't have to be like greedy or pushy, right?
Oh,
And half
totally.
the time they'll just give you free stuff. It was a great Growcast TV. I think you were there, Rich. Maybe it was an AMA. But we were like, where's the free stuff, guys? I almost made a free stuff channel in the Discord. I might have to do this. But like, there are certain products out there that they give out a lot of free samples of. Fish shit comes to mind. Recharge comes to mind.
Definitely.
Someone said they got a free bottle of Mammoth SI. I was like, Mammoth,
I did.
dude, that's expensive stuff. I didn't know they were giving out samples of that.
Dude, it was a full size bottle. I don't think it was necessarily I don't think they had sample bottles of it, but a lot of times if there's like a rep at a vendor day and you ask them or they know you, they'll just give it to you. Most of the time, especially if it's a vendor day, they don't want to have to load it back up and bring it back. Like whatever they bring, they want to most of the time get rid of, you know?
That is so true, dude. And you're right. I think it was exactly what you said. It was their small size that was given. That's going to last you like a year, bro.
I've had that same bottle for over a year, actually. I got it at vendor day, on the vendor day at Next Level where it was raining and the whole thing was inside. If you remember when that happened, maybe 2 years ago. But he gave me a big bottle, though.
Oh, that's
It was
funny, dude.
pretty good size. I'm almost out of it, but I've had it forever.
So that's why it pays to have Gromies, right? To be generous, to be friendly, to go to events and connect. That's one of the things we do in Growcast membership so well, right? Like if you come to a Growcast meetup and you're not a member, you're going to get like showered with homemade seed crosses and KNF inputs and really whatever you need. So I feel like plugging into the community is a great way to
that's a huge
use
way.
what's around you and ultimately save a bunch of money.
I agree, man. The community is very helpful and very generous, it seems like.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, yeah, like I said, you don't have to be a mooch or anything, but go check out what's free. They want to give out that free stuff before it goes bad. You know, they made a whole batch of free samples.
Yeah, most of the time, those companies are giving them to the stores, and the stores are most of the time glad to give them out. I used to have a store that they would get new stuff, and if they thought it was like applicable to me, they would call me and be like, "Hey, we got this new thing. If you want to come grab a sample." So some of those stores will really hook you up if you get to know them and talk to them. And most of the people working there are growers, so they love talking to you. They want to talk shop with you, you know?
Totally. That's why it pays to have like a cool hydro store nearby. That's the difference, night and day difference between like being a grower who's regularly like happy about the community or not connecting with anyone is how cool and how nice your hydro store is, your local hydro store. So yeah, I like that. But let's talk about, I liked the throwing out soil, specifically that it's a big money waster. I want to talk about not so much saving money, but avoiding the things that waste money. I think throwing out soil is like number one, dude. That was literally the number one bullet point on my list. You mentioned the green tax. Can we talk about this? I think this is important. The green tax is this phrase that people refer to companies that mark up products and face them towards cannabis, right? Either they're trying to increase their profit margin just by marking it up more, and or they're probably a smaller company to begin with than some of the non-cannabis, like big entities that produce a similar or the same product. And Rich, what you really don't want to fall victim to is paying more for the exact same active ingredient, right? That's when it's like it's not plus EV no matter how you split it. So
Right.
what are some of the biggest examples of the green tax to you where you're paying for the same ingredient or virtually the same ingredient?
Does it have to be an ingredient? Can it be a product?
Anything.
10. Grow 10s.
Interesting.
I'm a cheap bastard when it comes to grow 10s. I refuse to buy a name brand grow tent. I have some of the cheapest grow tents. And like my 8x8, I think I paid $200 for my 8x8. It is a cheap ass Amazon brand. That
Whoa.
thing's been up for like 7 or 8 years. Got metal interlocking poles. It is fucking no different than anybody else's $500
I love it.
3x3. You know what I mean?
I love
So
it.
I really have a problem. And there are some nice tents that are pricey. But for what a tent is, you don't need to spend a bunch of money on a tent. And there are so many cheap brands out that are good now. I just feel like it's a big waste of money when it comes to somebody starting to grow. They could really save a couple $100 in some instances.
Put that money elsewhere. Now, let's get specific there. You say you go onto Amazon, you look up 8x8 tent, and then I assume you probably start scrolling because the whole first page is going to be,
oh, dude. Yes, you have to look through the cheap ones and find, like I said, who has metal interlocking poles? How thick is the material that goes around it? You know what I mean? How many bent holes? But if you look good enough, there's plenty of brands that are cheap that have just as thick fabric as the nice ones,
Right.
still have those metal interlocking poles. You're right. You do have to look because you can definitely get conned into buying a cheap tent that's crap. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, worst case scenario with Amazon
That's
specifically,
with anything.
you return it. That's the cool thing about Amazon is
That's true.
worst case scenario, you get it and it's like a janky piece of crap and then you just get your money back. Like if you complain to Amazon, they'll give you your money back plus a coupon. So if it's not like time sensitive, I think this is a good and interesting strategy. One other thing I've noticed is sometimes it'll be a brand and they'll be selling those grow tents and then it'll just be gone. Right? Like it was some warehouse brand overseas.
Oh, they made a couple pallets or something. Yeah. And they were like, oh, we're done.
Exactly. So yeah, you got to check it regularly, I feel too. That's a really good point, man. Tents. And it's funny because we were talking about this off air. We have some ideas when it comes to stuff like that. Tents is a big one. For me, things like rooting hormones, things that are used in big ag as well.
It's a good point.
Even microbes like trichoderma. If trichoderma products are cannabis facing, they're always more expensive. That's a big waste, I feel.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Growcast membership, everybody. That's right. Never grow alone again with a Growcast membership. That's right, everyone. Growcastpodcast.com/membership. Come and join us. We've got regional chapters, Gromies in your area, waiting to meet up with you, swap seeds. We got events, members only meetups. Growcast membership is amazing, everyone. You want to give it a try, go to growcastpodcast.com/membership. And you don't want to end up growing alone because you don't have anyone to ask advice from. You don't have anyone to share your successes with, to nerd out about this plant with, right? Well, with Growcast membership, you can come join our thriving community, which is full of positive, like-minded growers. No more of these hostile online forums where people aren't even helpful. They don't know what they're talking about in the first place, and they just end up insulting you or jumping down your throat about something. Not at Growcast community. We put the plant first, and we lift each other up as gardeners. As a Growcast member, not only do you get access to our members-only server and you can join a regional chapter, but you also get a whole ton of members-only content, resources, and members-only discounts to help you save money in your garden. We have a members-only code that's 20% off HLG lights. We got a code that's 35% off FSD microbes. We've got Rimrock analytical codes, Rain Science grow bag codes. These members-only codes are deeper than any other discounts out there on the web. And so much more comes with Growcast membership. You got to check it out. Growcastpodcast.com/membership. I'd love to see you in there, everybody. We're there every single day. Me, Rich, Mary Beth, Wolfman, the whole team, bunch of guests in there. I really hope to see you in there. Never grow alone again. Growing should be easy and fun. let us make it that way for you. Go to growcastpodcast.com/membership. And I'll see you there, everybody. Special shout out to all of you amazing members. Any other ideas of like products that you can pay less for just by simply not buying them when they're facing cannabis?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, honestly, when it comes to growing, anything's fucking fair game. You know what I mean? Whether it's tents, whether it's lights, you can buy a $3,000 LED light, or you can buy a cheaper $500 or $600 light that covers the same space and is just as well. So it just really depends on where you want to save money. But really, I mean, if I'm being honest, you can find options on just about any piece of equipment or piece of nutrition or any of that.
True.
Even with seeds, you can find $600 packs of seeds that are good and $50 packs of seeds that are good. So it's all about you looking around, like you said, connect with the community and get some advice from other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And hunt out those deals. We have a whole channel for like special deals that people find on the internet. So I do like that. And then to the rooting aspect, don't you use a rooting product that's like a general garden product? What is it? Root Tone or something?
Root Tech. Yeah, I like to use Root Tech. It's got a pretty high percentage of the rooting hormone in it compared to some of the other ones. And it seems to root stuff pretty fast as well for me. They make those little tiny containers. That's
right. I was thinking Root Tone.
Root Tone's the name of another one. I think that's the powder. There's a powder called Root Tone.
Yes, and it's like Espoma or whatever. It's a big brand.
Oh, totally, dude.
I'll have to check.
I have some of that still for sure. I got a bottle of that. If you buy it, I don't think you'll ever run through an entire bottle of it. You get it for like $5 anywhere.
Yeah,
Walmart,
from Ace
Hardware.
Yeah. That's bizarre, man. So yeah, it's all around us. I do agree with that. Another way to save a lot of money is, like you said, taking a look at the products you buy and then seeing if you can just make them at home, man. I don't think this is as easy. Obviously, you ain't doing this with a grow light. You're not making your own grow light. You're probably not making your own grow tent. Maybe you build a little space, right? Like frame out of space. But I'm thinking things like in the trimming process. I'm thinking things in the cloning process. These are ways that, I mean, listen, you can spend hundreds of dollars on cloners, for instance. Rich, you posted a tutorial to make your own cloner out of a Home Depot tote. How much did that thing cost you?
Dude, I think that thing was like $40 with the pump and everything.
Yeah.
And I would put like 100 cuts in that thing. It had so much space. It was huge, man.
Do you have videos on that pinned on your Instagram?
I'm going to have to look and maybe save somewhere in Discord.
Let's dig them up. We'll post them in Discord for the members. And then listeners, the green list, our email list, is back in action. I'm going to send out this DIY bucket cloner tutorial to our green list subscribers.
Oh, I did the bucket too. Yeah, that one works great.
Oh, that was two different ones. There was a tote and a bucket. We'll send out both of them.
Yeah, man. And I mean, cloning's a really good point because I see people spend a lot of money on, I got to go get a clone light or even a cloner or even like a dome and shit. Like those things help for sure. But I just posted in our Discord, I ran out of space a couple weeks ago and I took two Tupperware containers, like the Tupperware, like rectangle, they're kind of tall that you would pour like a box of cereal into.
Yes, totally.
I took 2 of those and I put 8 clones. So there's like 4 in each one that I just cut into cubes and I put them in there and I put them in my living room, like on a little corner hutch table. And there's just this little tiny like house light that I put above them and they rooted and never skipped a beat, like not one yellow leaf.
Hell yeah.
Like you could really save some money with cloning too if you just look around and figure out stuff you could use as a dome or a space or something. You really don't have to put a lot of money into cloning, especially a small home grow.
Yeah, and you can even make a cloner that is literally the exact same as, like I said, these like $100 or hundreds of dollar cloners for less than half the price. So,
oh, dude, yeah, those for sure. You save a ton of money.
We're going to post up both of those tutorials. Go to growcastpodcast.com/list and give us your email. We'll send those out in the next coming weeks here. That's top of the line, man. Like when it comes to DIY, save yourself a couple $100. I think that's That's probably one of the best things you've done. You also made a really funny video about those canna brushes. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the canna brush, it's like a silicone like meat baster brush thing, if you know what that is. The only difference is it has like harder bristles.
Yes. And shorter, usually.
Yeah, a little bit shorter, and but mostly that they're harder than like the average silicone baster brush.
True. It's less floppy.
So I don't want to take credit for this because somebody showed me this, and then I took it from them. But they're the only person I've ever seen it from. They went to the dollar store, and I actually did this exact thing, and I made this video and showed you and showed the members too. You can go to the dollar store, get you a silicone brush. Now, when you buy it, you're going to notice that the brush part's like really flimsy. They're not hard. So basically, all you got to do is take a pair of scissors and like cut those in half. Just take the brush and cut the brush part in half. And when they're shorter, they're much more stiffer and harder than when you buy it and they're new and they're all floppy.
Right.
I mean, I know people that use them now and it works just like a fucking can of brush.
That's crazy.
So you could save $20 there and literally spend $1, you know?
That is so funny. You're looking at this thing and you're like, I can absolutely recreate this. I'm going to be perfectly honest. When I first saw that product and heard about that product, I didn't love the idea of the contact, and it didn't sound like it would work very well, but it does work. I will say, as somebody who is skeptical, it works pretty damn well. Whether you use the DIY version or support the amazing Canna Brush, not a sponsor, it seems to work pretty damn well. I was surprised, honestly.
I agree. It does work. I was amazed too, and I was very skeptical. I'm not going to lie.
So shout out to the brush trimmers. Probably one of the least common styles of trimming, I would say. Please tell me if you're a brush trimmer. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or an email on the website. Tell me why you're singing the praises of the brush. So yeah, that's an easy one. I mean, you just literally snip, boom, you have a product there. Oh, the homemade trimmers and the homemade trim bags. This one is interesting.
The trim bags.
This isn't just like,
really good.
Yeah, and this one isn't just like having a snip either. It takes a little bit of ingenuity, but if you look at the inside of a trim bag or a bubble magic bag trimmer or whatever, dude, that inner material, it looks just like the plastic construction fencing.
Yes. Whatever color, plastic construction fencing. And it's funny because I know somebody who made a trim bag too out of 2 5-gallon buckets. And I was like, how the fuck did you do that? And they told me, they were like, and they opened it up and they had that fencing material. And I was like, there's no way that's what it is. And then one of me and your mutual friends has a trim bag and showed me. And sure enough, that's all it is.
Exactly what it is. Sometimes it's a little bit different of a space sizing, like the squares, the open squares.
Yeah, you might have to tinker with that part and figure out the square size and shit, but you can definitely make one of those too.
If you can find a friend who has a trim bag and you can open it up and take a look at what you're talking about, you can 100% make one of those things.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Or even YouTube a video and study it.
Totally. Take some screenshots. This is something you could make at home. Now, it does travel into the realm of might be easier to buy it. And listen, here's the other thing, Rich. I got to say this. Like I said, the only crime is when you're paying more for the exact same thing. That is the number one thing I want to get out of people's heads. People got to understand, growers have different financial levels, right? Like someone might be working a full-time job and be a hobby grower and not have really a spare minute to go and make a trim bag. And God bless, right? But other people want to spend as little as possible on you're one of these people, Rich. Why would I spend more than I have to? So let's try to DIY as much as we can. So I respect both schools of thought, but I like the DIY growers out there, man. It's really cool.
I think it really depends on the grower too. Like I got into growing, obviously, because, I love it. It's fun. It's a great hobby. It relieves stress. But like overall, I wanted to save money on weed. I didn't want to have to buy weed anymore.
True.
So like I got into it trying to save money. I didn't get into it. And I know it costs money to get into it. So it was like, I didn't want to have to spend even more than I already was just to pull off the same thing as the next guy who may have the $5,000 light and tent or whatever. And the quality's no different, So.
Yep, that's true. The number one determining factor in quality, every single breeder, every single grower guest I have asked all has the same answer to that question: genetics. Like, you can always improve little bits, but if you're growing with good genetics and you have anywhere near enough light, enough nutrition, enough calcium, enough airflow, you will get high quality buds.
Pull off a grow. I agree.
High quality buds. It's just the way it is, man. You get some good genetics. Now, this is a funny one though, Rich, because I feel like home breeding is technically a way that you could save money. However, in practice, the people who I know who breed buy more seeds than almost anybody else out there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Dude, I understand 100% what you're saying. And I do agree. Like, yes, you could make seeds and save money on that end. And I always, you know how I feel about it. We've been breeding classes. Like I tell everybody, every grower should at least do one breeding project and grow a plant out that they created from seed, just for the rewarding feeling of growing and harvesting and smoking something that you personally made that no one else has. But at the end of the day, I feel like personally in my own grow, like if all I did was only grow my own work, I would be so limited in what I'm seeing and working with and doing, just because it would always be the same thing over and over and over.
That's well said.
You know what you have to bring new genetics in. So even if you're a breeder, you have to bring in other breeder stuff and look through it. You know, you're not just like, I'm not just looking through my own stuff. I want to look through other people's stuff too. So while I agree, while it's a spot to save money, I think long term you're still probably going to end up either getting clones or seeds or something, because everybody wants something new, you know?
It's true.
I don't know.
And let's be honest, man, everybody's breeding now, and like, you can get free seeds. Come to a Growcast meetup. We'll get you free seeds. Like, there's seeds everywhere.
Oh, there's whole like pages dedicated to giving seeds away now. So.
Totally. Go to any cannabis event. So it's one of those things where I feel like I'm going to tell people to breed to save money, and they're just going to end up buying extra seeds. But God bless them. God bless them all, dude.
They're like adult trading cards. That's what I call them. It's hard not to get them, especially when new stuff comes out and it's something you're interested in or like, you know?
Yeah, or a breeder that you follow, man. Like, shout out, mad love to all the people who support Growcast Seed Co. and your work. It's dude,
100%.
It's been humbling, Rich. Like,
super humbling.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because, you know, I've been doing the show for a long time. We're coming up on 10 years. Growcast started in 2015. I first turned on the microphones in 2014. So it's about to be 10 years of cannabis podcasting. So that gives me an insane amount of satisfaction. But there's something different about Growcast Seed Co. and working with you, man. Like, it's so cool to see our stuff on Reddit.
Across the country in physical, like across the world and country in physical form. You're like, what the fuck, dude? It's so cool. Somebody's growing something that's a part of us in Australia or South Africa or whatever, you know?
Yes, dude. Shout out to the Grow Bro in South Africa. Shout out to the whole Australian chapter. Shout out to 12 Degrees South growing us down in Brazil.
Canada.
All over Canada.
Dude, how about that? Was it South Africa, the guy that has the Oreo cheesecake outside
That was Brazil. That was Brazil.
Oh, that was Brazil? That thing's crushing outside. I was like, holy shit.
I just love to see that stuff, man. Yeah, shout out to Hort, Oscript, the whole Canada chapter. We're incredibly humbled. The EU chapter, killing it out there.
Yes.
It's wild stuff, man. Hey, before we move into home pollinations, I want to talk about making your own seeds and just talk to you a little bit about like pollinations and your upcoming stuff. But I do want to tell the listeners about the Growcast Seed Co. offer that we're starting right now. It's super, super simple. We were talking about the Oreo cheesecake. It's the strain that we're going to be featuring for the month of March. And Rich, if they buy any order of Growcast Seed Co., they always get a freebie pack, right? But just for starting now until April 1st, if they buy an Oreo cheesecake pack in their order, they'll get a bonus freebie on top of everything else. So if they wanted to, they could buy 1 pack of Oreo cheesecake and get 3 packs of seeds mailed to their house, correct?
100%.
That is a solid deal, you guys. So it's a good way to just grab a pack. If you want to do an order, obviously we appreciate you guys all the time, but just go ahead and hit up that Oreo cheesecake. Members get $20 off per pack. So that's 3 packs of seeds for $50 if you're a member. Real quick, Rich, we got to talk Oreo cheesecake. I mentioned the vigorous growth. I mentioned that we're all growing it. Did you see Monster Scroggins Oreo cheesecake? My man TK in membership.
I did. I
So good.
reposted his video today, man. He did a phenomenal job. It's like rainbow colored. It's
Yeah.
incredibly colorful.
The Roy G. Biv Fino. We'll post
Oh my
that one up in the
God,
green
right?
list as well. If you're subscribed to the email list, take a look at those pictures.
I can't wait to try that one. I'm so
Whew.
glad he's local.
It's
TK.
so funny.
We get to burn that one together. I'm dying to try it. It's stunning, man. And he did such a good job on it. Like it's beautiful.
Oh man, you
I don't know
outdid
if it can
yourself.
get any prettier.
You outdid yourself, and it's really, really good. That bag appeal is just compounding. So again, growcastpodcast.com, click Seedco, bring you right there, and grab a pack of Oreo cheesecake. Get 3 packs of seeds. You can't go wrong, everybody. So, and again, come to a Rhizo Ridge breeder class. We got one planned for later this year. We're going to have the online offering as well, and start your home pollination. Rich, the way Rich says it, and why I love doing that breeder class so much, is exactly what he said earlier in this show. Everyone who's serious about growing should do it at least once. This is one of those things where if you're a poker player, you should play the World Series at least once. If you're a baseball fan, I don't know, you got to go see some stadium. That was a bad analogy. You know what I'm saying, Rich? You should do it at least once.
I'm sure there's Red Sox or fucking Yankee Stadium.
You got to take a picture with the green monster, okay?
Totally.
This is one of those things every serious grower should do at least one time. That being said, Rich, what would you recommend personally for a first-time home pollination? Would they go full-blown male pollination so they can watch the whole process happen? Or do you recommend collecting pollen and just doing a little hand pollination, bud?
So for me, I always recommend putting the male in there. You're going to get way better pollination rates and a lot more seeds. But, once again, it depends on what the grower's doing. If the grower just wants to make like, hey, I want to make a couple packs of seeds just for myself, I don't want a whole seeded out tent, and they want to try doing just like some small branches or something like what you're saying, that's totally applicable. That's fine to do. Like people can do that, and it's still breeding. You're still doing a pollination project. So I think either or will work. I just prefer that when I'm making seeds, like I'm not trying to limit the plants that I'm pollinating by only hitting branches or doing this or stuff like that. And I feel like it might mess with the hormones, and I'm sure it doesn't, but I don't know. I just like everything. Like if they're going to be, slinging yogurt around the tent, let them fucking have at it.
I think that you pointed out a couple good things there, which is, first of all, if you're growing for stock, if you're growing for like seed stock, let's say you just want to have seeds forever for the rest of your life, you should probably, if you have enough excess flour, just stop and do a pollination run. You'll have fucking thousands of seeds, one and done.
Yeah, and you can do it in a 2x2 or a 3x3. You don't need a huge space, so you can do a little project and keep it contained.
That's a really good point. You're going to end up with a ton there, and you're going to learn. I don't know necessarily learn more, but you're going to learn different things. You're going to see the whole process. Like I said, you get to watch. Who doesn't like to watch?
Yeah, and you get to see the male completely flower out. I feel like when you collect pollen, most people just collect like as much pollen as they feel like they need, and then they get rid of the plant, and it's like, man, he only flowered for 4 or 5 weeks.
That's
like he's
true.
ready to go another 3 weeks. I want to see what he does and just look at him more. I have no problem with leaving him in there. So
that's a good point.
That's just my preference. So.
That's funny. Get to see the male complete. I get it, Rich.
I want to see him, completely finish off and how he's going to look and what he does. And
all right, let's bring it back right here. On the flip side, if you don't need the massive seed stock and stuff, I guess the biggest benefit to just doing the hand pollination doesn't interrupt your flow, right? There are some of us.
Yeah,
I smoke a lot, and I get you don't want to waste a whole run. So yeah, I think that's a good way to split it up.
Yeah, or you can. Well, no, I guess that would kind of be the same. I would say you could just keep some really small plants and do clones and do a small breeding project and still let it go pretty hard in there. You know what I mean? But
microbreed. Have you ever done that, man? Like a microbreeding thing? Like what if you did a breeding project in one of those computer tower grows? That would
be incredible to see. The smallest I've done is like 3x3 tent. So, which is, pretty small, but it's definitely not a micro grow.
Yeah. I am cooking up in my head right now. We actually have a hangout. We're recording this on a Friday, so I might bring this up in the hangout, but we're going to do a big grow competition for the members, and I might do something like micro grows or some really wacky grows. So
that would be cool.
With a big prize. Huge prize. We'll see what we can do there, man. It would be cool to have a challenge where people would be doing things like micro pollinations. You don't see that every day.
I don't, that's for sure. And I look for shit like that.
So to wrap up the breeding talk, do you have any other general tips for healthy seeded plants? I know you said before it's a lot like growing regular plants, but any considerations that you might want to have if you know that you have a plant that's really seeded out?
Oh man, don't be scared. Like towards the end, if you're unsure, or even think you're unsure of like the maturity of seeds, like don't be scared every couple of days to pull a seed or two out. Give it an inspection and see how hardy it is. Is it fully developed? Check it out. You definitely don't want to pull the seeded plants down if you're looking for seeds too early and mess things up. So I always, tell people don't be hesitant to dig a seed or two out every couple days and just give it a good check, if it's something that you're concerned about when you're breeding. Because I know it's something that I was always concerned about in the beginning, is, oh, are these ready? Or are they not?
You're scared you're going to damage the plant, but you say if you're just kind of, gentle but firm and you get in there and just pull a seed out, it doesn't really stress the plant. It's fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I usually look for it's usually not like a main cola that I'm taking it out of, although you could. I just usually look for like a bottom bud that's still getting plenty of light, nice and mature, and I'll pull one out of there and then I'll find another one of those a couple of days later if I feel that's necessary. Sometimes you can just see them bulging out and you just, by looking at them. So it's
Right.
all just very dependent. But I know sometimes for the ones you can't, don't be scared to pull some out. But I mean, nutrition wise overall, yeah, I pretty much keep everything the same, man. I'm not mixing separate nutrients for the breeding area or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's what I hear. Even Nick says they feed the same. Seeds are technically a sink for phosphorus, but everybody has a lot of phosphorus anyways.
Right, especially cannabis growers.
So it's an interesting one. But nonetheless, I like the idea of digging them out. Can you safely assume that the lower buds, like you said, maybe they didn't get quite as much light? Can you safely assume that if you dig out a lower bud and pull a seed out, that the main cola buds are probably the same maturity or maybe even a little further? Is that accurate?
That's actually a really good question. And from my observation in the beginning, yes, I thought, well, yeah, the seeds up top would look better. And honestly, yes, that's true if they're getting more light than a bud who's not getting as much light. But if the lower and top are still getting the same amount of light, the seed should basically be the same size. When you really see the difference in sizing with the seeds, I noticed is especially like when you leave in a male like I do, is sometimes the areas of the plant that are pollinated first will have larger seeds than say the seeds that are forming that maybe those pistils got hit a week later, which seems obvious, but you can definitely see some major size discrepancies sometimes in the same strain in seed sizing, just because that set of seeds got pollinated
Earlier.
before the other ones.
The coverage of the first bust is essentially
Yeah,
what you're saying.
it's not like if you keep a male in there and the first day you put it in there, it pollinates everything, like that's it. Like it's going to continue to drop pollen for the rest of its time flowering, the male is, and the females still are pushing some pistils through here and there. So any of the white pistils are going to end up getting pollinated as well that push through after that initial pollination. So that's basically what I'm saying. You'll see some size discrepancies there sometimes, especially, like that very first brack, like where any node is. I
Yeah.
know like Lovin' in Her Eyes does it. Like when she pulls her harvested buds, she'll pull like the giant brack off, like right where
Yes.
the stem and buds meet and make a bowl out of them.
Yeah, right by the stipules. Yeah.
Yes, those definitely seem to have the largest seeds because they're probably like one of the first things hit. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. They're so exposed.
Yeah, and then the just that initial cluster of pistils that gets pollinated first. Those always seem to be like the chunkiest, best set. But it all just depends once again when you're harvesting your seeds too. Like I let mine fully finish off. I know some breeders will let them do like 32 to 42 days. I usually run
Yeah.
mine like 50 days because I want everything to be nice and mature. So I try to get them as done as possible. I'm not pulling them early just to get them out 2 weeks before, you know.
Yeah, yeah, true. That makes sense. And I see that in your work, man. Big, fat, honkin' monster seeds. What are the biggest seeds you've ever bred?
Okay, so I mess with that truffle and truffle cake a lot, and that one seems to make huge seeds. So like anything like the tectonic truffle, white truffle cheese, the cookie truffle shuffle, the frost cakes, and actually it's really anything that I have with pancakes in it too. So both of those, which truffle cake does have pancakes in it, but anything with that truffle or pancakes just makes the most enormous seeds. And you've seen them, you know.
Yeah, big, fat seeds.
Yeah, they're huge, man. Like biggest seeds I've ever seen. They're even bigger than the land race ones. So it's kind of surprising, but that's just the traits of that one.
They sometimes look round. Those tectonic truffle seeds looked like cilantro seeds. You ever see those big spherical
You're
cilantro
so
seeds?
right.
That's what they looked like. It looked like a totally different plant species, totally different plant family.
The Oreo cheesecake seeds are even more like globular or rounder, like more spherical. They just have like this big fat sphere on them. So those ones
Yes.
are even chunkier.
It's like fucking energy stored in there, man, like rocket fuel. That's what's up, dude. So if you want to get those globular seeds, you know where to get them. Growcastpodcast.com. Grab an Oreo cheesecake, get a bonus freebie. Take advantage of this one, guys. This will be really, really, this is a no-brainer. This one will be a really beautiful addition to your garden. So anything else, Rich, before we close out this awesome episode? We covered just about everything from like DIY products to saving money to local inputs, lots of strain talk. It's a very, very good episode. Anything else where people can find you or any other updates?
Where to find me is always at Rhizo_Rich ICC on Instagram or at Illinois Cannabis Consulting. The website as well. You can hit up growcastpodcast.com, right? And then find everything through there. Link for the seeds and all that.
That's right. That's where you find it, everybody. And then we have some other stuff planned for later this year. We're going to be doing a class probably around September. Yes, probably around September, right, Rich?
That's what we're shooting for, yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. Everybody will announce official dates once we get it locked down, once it approaches. But that's all for now, everyone. Growcastpodcast.com again for the seeds, for the membership. Members get $20 off per pack. Just grab a membership and use those discounts. We got all sorts of member discounts on HLG and Rimrock testing, and of course, Growcast Seedco. So that's a great way to save money. I'll see you there, everybody. One more time, thank you, Rich. Thank you for all you do for the community, for Growcast Seedco, and I cannot wait to smoke one at the Cultivators Cup in April.
Dude, I can't wait to smoke one with you either. And thank you all the people that support me and support us and Growcast and Seedco, and we're gonna have some new fem lines this year and all sorts of fun shit. So I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate all the support, and everybody's been so awesome to us, dude. We have the best community at Growcast. I genuinely think that. That's why I hang out here and have been here as long as I have, you know?
God, I love it, man. I appreciate you so much.
Back at you.
I hope to see you guys in the community, and I hope you stay tuned to this podcast, because I appreciate you just tuning in. We got some more stuff coming at you soon, so stay tuned. That's all for today. This is Rhizo Rich and Jordan River signing off, saying be safe out there and grow smarter. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you go to growcastpodcast.com. That's where you can find Rhizo Rich's seeds. You can find Growcast membership and upcoming classes and events. That will be updated soon. That calendar will be updated shortly. And I'll see you, everybody, in membership. Would love to see you there. Get on the green list. Our email list is back up and running. That's growcastpodcast.com/list. Get on there. We got special offers and giveaways that are going to be going down. Tons of educational resources that I have lined up. Articles. It's a lot of fun, everybody. We're back on it. Don't miss it. Make sure you're on the list so you stay up to date on everything. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you're doing amazing things in your garden. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this show. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
I'm a cheap bastard when it comes to grow tons.